he'd be a good fit with Aaron Rodgers. And he,
Okay.
it sounded like he was saying he needs to go to a place with a quarterback that, like Aaron Rodgers, or someone with that dominant personality that can fit with Dez, or that Dez can respect and will fall more in line with. I think that a younger quarterback with a strong personality could struggle, and that was probably the case with Dak Prescott. So it didn't sound like it was about the actual scheme. It sounded like it was about the quarterback, is what Jason was getting at, and I think that would have worked.
What do you think?
In terms of him fitting with Aaron Rodgers? You know, I think he'd be great in that system, in the sense that Aaron Rodgers can make anybody look great.
Right.
Whether or not Aaron wants to deal with any of the things that Dez brings with him, I'm not sure how strongly he feels about that.
If you didn't have a Hall of Fame veteran quarterback, would you be interested in Dez Bryant if you were the head coach of a team?
Well, it just depends on what Dez's attitude coming in is. He's looking for a one-year deal, a deal that he can hopefully springboard into something more significant. So those players are very motivated, and typically those players tend to be more coachable, and those players tend to be more productive. So there is an upside to bring someone in on a contract like that. Now, if it becomes too big of a management issue, or if you think that management issue is going to outweigh the potential of him hitting, then you move on.
Typically, I would be excited about a player that wants a one-year prove-it deal. Is the potential downside to that if you are on a one-year prove-it deal and you do have a history of a volatile personality, that if you're not getting targets, if you're not getting the stats, if you're not getting the ability to prove it, that actually could be a bad thing?
No, because the perfect thing about a one-year prove-it deal is typically it's not a lot of money. So if you don't like the guy and it's not working out, then you cut your losses, you move on, and you've got the leverage from that standpoint. And the player has the leverage. If he performs well, now he's got a chance to negotiate a much higher number.
Yeah, I'm glad Jason Witten, I'm glad he chimed in on this, because his first week as a broadcaster let me know, and I try to tell you this all the time, guys who play in the league, what they know is their division. They know their teammates. They don't know a lot about the rest of the league. So I understand you can campaign for your friends. I've been on TV a long, long time. So I know how that works. You throw out a couple names to try to get them to a couple places. But New Orleans don't want Dez Bryant. They have the personnel. They have Mike Williams. I mean, my man, Michael Thomas from Ohio State. He's a Pro Bowl receiver. He's an ex-receiver. The same thing that Dez Bryant does. So, yeah, of course Dez Bryant would look good with the veteran quarterback. So I understand him saying that. He says Green Bay because of Aaron Rodgers. They got Devontae Adams. He's a pure ex-receiver. All right? They got Randall Cobb. He's only a slot receiver. And they have another wide receiver. His name's Jimmy Graham. He's not a tight end. He's a wide receiver. So where does Dez Bryant fit to the Green Bay Packers? He's not a fit. Well, by the way, they did draft a guy in the 4th round. 6'3" guy, ran a 4.6 in the combine from Missouri. He's an ex-receiver. They drafted another speed guy from UCF in the 5th round. Now, there ain't no room on the roster for Dez Bryant as far as Green Bay. So, Witten, I appreciate it. I'm glad you're in broadcaster now. Welcome to your first week, but he's making a huge mistake because his style of play does not fit the personnel for what these teams want.
Coach, how much of what teams are looking at with Dez Bryant is style, is play, is on-field production, and how much is the off-field stuff that they're seemingly factoring in? Because there's been very little interest except for the deal that the Ravens had offered him.
Well, yeah, you're going to look at style and where he fits in your scheme, and Chris brings up a good point. Jason Witten, when I looked at the comments, it doesn't make sense from a scheme perspective. It makes sense from a quarterback perspective, but you've got to figure out, okay, how does he potentially help us? How does he work with the other players in the room? How is he going to work with our quarterback? And then there's this cost-benefit analysis of, is the upside greater than the potential downside of what he can bring to the locker room?
See, you've pinpointed one team for Dez all along as the best fit, the best need, the best opportunity, and that's San Francisco.
Yes.
The one thing San Francisco doesn't have is what Coach was talking about, a veteran, proven quarterback. They got a guy who makes the money like he's a veteran proven quarterback, has the security of a veteran.
I don't think that's that important.
Okay, that's why I wanted to ask you.
No, I believe now playing with a younger quarterback like Dak, it's not that he's young. Dak has not mastered the passing game. So Dez has been very, very comfortable playing with Tony Romo and talking to Tony Romo at this year's Super Bowl and also hearing his comment. Tony Romo is a brilliant football player. So Dez's ability to ad-lib with Tony Romo, now where else can he get that? All right? He's not going to be a structured route runner. He's not going to beat you with the route tree. You're going to have to be able to add some things, and a lot of times that can only be done by a veteran quarterback. So I understand what Witten, why he's trying to target these types of teams.
See, I like him in Baltimore. I think that's probably the best fit for him. They went and they got Michael Crabtree and they got Willie Snead, but Willie Snead had a down year last year. Perriman, what did he have, 7 catches? There's an opportunity there.
Yeah, he's a bust. Snead's a slot receiver. They could use him in Crabtree.
And culturally, they've been pretty accepting of guys. Now, I'd love to see him in New England. Is he going to become Chad Johnson, or is he going to become, Randy Moss? That's like the truth serum for a guy in this type of position. Let's see what that would look like. Cleveland would be an interesting spot too, putting with the guys that they have there, and Todd Haley has a track record of working with guys that create some potential challenges, and he's always done a good job with that.
Yeah, but Jenna makes a good point, though, because people right now are wondering, man, why he's too good of a football player. Why isn't he playing somewhere? But I believe when you do all the intel on Dez Bryant, there are people with red flags. It's no different than the draft. It's no different than coach. Coach will take you off the board. There are people in free agency that are not looking at Dez Bryant because they do not want to bring his personality and potentially some of the other things. At this point in your career, you can't be worrying about a veteran receiver who's almost 30, and he going to be late? Is he going to be on time? Is he going to be a good influence on my locker room, on my young guys? And the thing that hurts veteran receivers in the month of April and May is if you sign them, they take away all those offseason reps from those younger players. Green Bay drafted 3 receivers. If they bring Dez in, this whole offseason, they're trying to get Dez up to speed. So they're taking they're taking reps away from those young guys, which really hurts their overall development and growth.
If it's just about football, though, Coach, what's the ceiling for Dez Bryant? I mean, how much of what we've seen in the last couple of years could we possibly see production-wise?
Well, that I don't understand, because I don't know what type of learner he is. I don't know how quickly he's going to get into a system and be able to pick up the system. Can he really go from spot to spot? Could he play X? Could he play Z? Or is he just purely an X? Could he move around? The concern I have in San Francisco is there's so much shifting and motioning and multiple personnel groups and formations. Okay. That's my concern there, is can he do all those things? And Chris's point about the off-season reps going to the younger guys, that's what you want. But is Dez the type of learner that needs all those off-season reps to be a productive guy? The great thing about free agency in the NFL is you get the best information. You've got enough friends around the league that someone's going to tell you the truth on the guy.
But what you guys are describing, just sitting here listening to it. All right, there's 32 teams in the league. It seems like a lot, right? Okay, about half of them, though, like their receiving core. They either spent draft capital on young guys. They already have too much money allotted to it. They've got it in place. So now we're down to around 16 teams, right? There's call 4 or 5 of them that just non-football stuff, just off the field stuff. Could he be late? What are the red flags? What are the stories that haven't made it to the media? They've taken him off board. Now we're down to 10 or 11 teams, right? And then there's another 4 or 5 teams like, can he master this offense? Can he do the shifting? Can he play multiple spots? So now we're down to 5, 6 teams, right? So all of a sudden, when you're at this stage in your career, when you're on 3 years of well below Pro Bowl level production, you have on the field red flags. You have off the field red flags. You also are evidently somewhat choosy about the type of contract you want. Those 32 teams become 2 or 3 teams awful quickly. And I think that's what we're seeing with
After
Dez.
15 years in the league, more than half of those being in the Pro Bowl. My last year, I had 3 teams call them. St. Louis Rams, greatest show on. Mike Martz asked me, you want to play the slot? Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt outside. I believe we'll be unstoppable. Miami Dolphins, Rick Spielman knew me from Ohio State, and the Cleveland Browns wanted to bring me back to Ohio as kind of a consolation to my career. That's all I had. I had 3 teams. Great career. I had 3 teams that had some type of interest in me.
Listen, when Dez does finally get a job, it's going to be a sad day here. Because what are we going to talk about? It's actually helping defeat us. Exactly. Exactly. Your second favorite topic. Folks, we'll see you a little bit later.